If your grown son or daughter looked through you today, not at you, but through you, as though you were a window, do not call them. Do not send a message. Do not try to explain yourself. Instead, sit down and listen to an old man for the next 20 minutes. Because by the time this is over, you will understand exactly why 40 years of sacrifice bought you no respect. And more importantly, you will know what to do about it. Starting tonight, my name does not matter. People call me the silent sage. I have lived in this bright world for 90 years. 30 of those years I spent in a mountain sanctuary, far from noise, far from opinion, far from everything the modern world calls important. I did not come here today to comfort you with soft words. I came to tell you the truth, the kind of truth that stings for a moment, but heals for a lifetime. Let me say the difficult thing first. Your adult children do not disrespect you because they are bad people. They disrespect you because they are perfectly normal people who learned exactly what you taught them. Read that again, slowly. They treat you precisely the way you showed them it was acceptable to treat you, not with words. Words mean nothing to children. They watched you. Every single day for 20, 30 years, they watched you. Every time you swallowed your dignity to keep the peace, they watched. Every time you smiled at rudeness to avoid conflict, they watched. Every time you gave without being asked, apologized without being wrong, and shrank yourself so they could feel bigger, they watched. And they learned. A great philosopher said this 2,000 years ago, in fewer words than I am using now. The man who does not respect himself will not be respected by his own children. That is all. Nothing more needs to be said. But I will say more, because the people of today need ancient truth broken into smaller pieces before it can enter. Let me tell you something that happened in our mountain sanctuary, not from a book, from my own eyes. There was a man who lived among us, a silk merchant. He was 15 years older than me, already aged, already white-haired, already slow in his walk but sharp in his mind. I respected him deeply. Of all the men in that place, he was the one I would have called wise. One afternoon, his son came to visit. The son was in his 40s, a grown man, successful in his own trade, confident in his step. He brought gifts. He bowed at the door. He sat down for tea, and for the first 30 minutes, everything was respectful, warm, pleasant. Then something shifted. The son began to talk more. The father began to talk less, and slowly, the way a river changes course without announcing it, the son began telling the father how to think, what to believe, how to live the years he had left. I sat in the corner of that room and watched, and I saw something I will never forget. The old merchant, the wisest man I knew, began to shrink. Not physically, his back stayed straight, but inside, in the space he occupied in that room, he became smaller and smaller with every word his son spoke, as if he were quietly folding himself inward, trying to take up less space in his own presence. When the son left, I went to him. I said, "Brother, why did you stay silent? You are one of the wisest men in these mountains. Why did you allow him to speak to you that way?" He looked at me, and he said something I did not understand for another 20 years. He said, "I spent 30 years teaching him that I am a man who endures everything. I cannot undo that lesson in a single evening. It would be unfair to him." I was 50 years old when I heard those words. I thought they were strange, almost foolish. 20 years later, when my own children began speaking to me in that same tone, I remembered him, and I understood. Each of us is that old silk merchant. Every parent teaches their child a certain way to be treated, and then stands in shock when the child delivers exactly that treatment. So what do? You do not change them. You never could. You change yourself. And when you change, they have no choice but to respond differently because the person they learned their patterns from no longer exists in the same form. Here are the 7 steps. Not one of them asks anything of your son or daughter. Every single one is about you. Stop seeking their approval. This is the first and the deepest wound. You say something, and immediately you scan their face. Did they agree? Did they approve? Did they seem offended? And the moment their expression clouds over, you soften your words, retreat, begin explaining yourself. Every time you do this, you remove one crown from your own head. 40 years of this, and you stand before them completely uncrowned, genuinely surprised that they no longer see you as a king or a queen. A great thinker once said, "The noble person demands of themselves, the lesser person demands of others." Translate this into the language of parenthood. The noble parent asks, "Am I right?" And if the answer is yes, they hold their ground regardless of the reaction. The lesser parent asks their child, "Am I right?" and adjusts their opinion based on the answer. From this day forward, when you say something and mean it, stand by it. Let them dislike it. Disapproval is not a reason to retreat. It never was. Go silent. Most parents lose respect not through weakness, but through too many words. You list everything you have done: the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the money spent, the dreams set aside. You count it all, item by item, hoping they will finally see. But every word you speak in this way makes you smaller. Because a parent who counts their sacrifices out loud is no longer a parent. They have become a beggar. And beggars do not inspire respect. They inspire pity or irritation. An ancient sage said, "The person who has something worth saying does not rush to speak." Remember this: if your presence requires constant explanation, then in their eyes you have no presence at all. Let your life speak for you. Live in such a way that your days make the argument you have been trying to make with words for decades. Silence is not weakness. In a world drowning in noise, silence is the rarest form of authority. Free yourself from emotional dependency. This is perhaps the most painful one to hear, but I will say it because my 90 years give me the right to be direct with you. You sit by the door waiting for a message. When none comes, your entire day collapses. When 3 lines arrive, you feel alive again for a few hours. You plan your mood around their visits. You measure your happiness by how often they call. This is not love. This is dependency. As real and as consuming as any other dependency, only dressed in the beautiful clothing of parental devotion. Your life is your life. Their life is theirs. These two lives touch, but they are not the same life. When you place another human being at the center of your own existence, you betray yourself and you betray them. Because you place on their shoulders a weight no child should ever carry, the responsibility for their parents' sense of meaning. A great philosopher said, "Do not worry that others do not know you. Worry that you do not know yourself." I will say it differently for you today. Stop grieving that they do not remember you. Start grieving the possibility that you are forgetting yourself. Set boundaries, and do not move them. A boundary is not a wall. It is not a punishment. It is not the end of a relationship. A boundary is a short, calm, quiet word, spoken once and then backed by action. Your son speaks to you with contempt again? Say it once quietly. "I am not spoken to this way. When you are ready to speak differently, let me know." And then, stop. Do not explain. Do not lecture. Do not follow up 3 days later with a gentle message because the love became unbearable. You can endure it. If you cannot endure it now, you will endure it for the rest of your life. An ancient teacher said, "The person who shows mercy to the undeserving steals from them the chance to become better." Do you hear what that means? Every time you forgive the contempt for the 100th time, you are not being a good parent. You are stealing from your child the opportunity to become a decent human being. You are leaving them unprepared for a world that will not forgive them the way you do. Setting a boundary is not pushing your child away. It is giving them back the parent they had before, the one with a spine, the one they secretly, desperately need to exist. Stop giving without being asked. Your son is 35. Your daughter is 40. And yet they still come to you for money, for solutions, for rescue, and you give every time without condition because they are your children. But the moment their own children were born, they stopped being children themselves. From that day, they became adults, and your debt to them, every cent of it, was paid in full. An old sage said, "Give to the wise and receive wisdom. Give to the fool and receive hunger." Every time you hand a grown person what they should have earned themselves, you weaken them. You love them, and in the same motion, you drain them of strength. There is a difference between helping and rescuing. Helping is, they struggle, they ask, you offer what you can. Rescuing is, you see any difficulty and run to remove it before they have even felt it. Stop running. Let them feel it. Feeling difficulty is not cruelty. It is how adults are made. Build a life they are not part of. This is the most important thing I will say today. If your entire existence consists of waiting for a message, waiting for a visit, waiting for the holidays when the grandchildren come, then you do not have a life. You have a waiting room, and people in waiting rooms never inspire respect. At best, they receive sympathy. At worst, they become a source of guilt and irritation for the very people they are waiting for. Go and learn something. At 60, 70, 80, learn a new language, a craft, an instrument, a skill. Make friends your own age, walk in the mountains, write down your memories, plant something, and watch it grow. Fill your evenings with exhaustion from living, not from waiting. And do you know what happens then? Your children begin to appear, without reminders, on their own. Because a person with a full and interesting life pulls people toward them. A person who sits and waits pushes people away. This is a law as old as the hills. It worked at 20, it works at 70, it will work at 90. Your eyes must burn with light, at 80, at 90, at 100, until your last breath. This is your sacred obligation to yourself. Forgive, but do not surrender. Forgiveness is your inner freedom. The moment you stop carrying the wound inside, you free yourself, not them. But forgiveness does not mean offering your face for another strike. You can forgive and still change the terms. You can release the anger and still require different behavior going forward. Forgiveness means your heart is clean. It does not mean your boundaries disappear. If someone treated you poorly and you have forgiven them, your soul is free. But the relationship must change, because if nothing changes, nothing was truly understood. An ancient teacher said, "Return justice for injustice, return kindness for kindness, not evil for evil, but exactly what is deserved, measured precisely, without revenge and without excess." Give each person the closeness they have earned through their actions, not more, not less. This is mature love. Love with open eyes, love that sees clearly and loves anyway, but watches carefully. 7 steps. An old man has said what he came to say. Do not try to do all 7 at once. Choose one, the one that landed deepest in your chest, and live by it quietly for 1 week. Without announcements, without explanations, without grand declarations to your children about how you are changing.